Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Unstructured, where we bring you inspirational spotlights to keep you radical, empowered, authentic, and living in the Word. I am your host, Narissa, and this is the platform designed for millennials to showcase their God-given talents and gifts with the world who have used unstructured, unconventional, and unapologetic means to pursue their dreams. Now, today's guest, I'm a little biased, but he is my brother. I love him dearly. Brian Grigsby. Welcome, Brian. Hey.
What's up, sis? How you doing?
Way from LA. I'm mad we couldn't do this in person. You know, COVID done messed it all up.
I know we were supposed to be in Dallas this weekend.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
It's
So,
crazy.
Brian, you have a wonderful company called Nelson Studios. Why don't you tell us about what Nelson Studios is?
Yeah, so Nelson Studios, at its core, is a company that was created to amplify voices for minorities through storytelling. So storytelling can take its form in many different ways. It can be a film, it can be a music video, it can be an animation like the animation that won an Oscar called uh, Hair Love, I believe. And so there's so many different platforms, so many different ways that looks visually. And so my company is just one of the many other companies that will help amplify those voices for minorities, especially Black and brown voices.
Absolutely. So you just started talking about all the different variations that there are within filmmaking and production. So are you going to try and stay within one particular genre, or are you venturing out to all of those different mediums that you just mentioned?
Yeah, exactly. Storytelling can take form in many different ways. So I'm not going to stick to one specific genre, but instead going to branch out as long as it fits the narrative in the mission statement. But of course, definitely want to shine a spotlight on people who look like me, people who come from similar backgrounds. So Black and brown voices are definitely going to be a consistent theme throughout the different genres, but definitely open to whatever comes across my desk.
Gotcha. Now, tell viewers, I obviously know about your backstory because I'm your sister, but tell all the viewers out there that may be watching about your backstory. How did Nelson Studios come to be? How did you get into filmmaking and production?
Yeah, so wow. I gotta take you back. I gotta take you back like 10 years. Um, so yeah, no, honestly, the only thing that I knew in college was that I wanted to do something with a camera. I had no idea what it was, had no clue about the industry. I just knew if a camera was involved, that's
And he
where I
always
gotta go.
had a camera, y'all. Like everywhere we went, anything we did in the house by himself, he always had a camera. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's a fact. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. That was the kid with the camera, showing the camera in your face.
Right.
And so honestly, that was my compass. That's my only compass and kind of my way forward. So through that, I did everything from being in the camera ministry at church, of course, got my first internship at a news station in Pittsburgh. I got another internship with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which that kind of opened up a whole new world for me where I could merge sports and production and see what that was like. And then from there, got an opportunity to come to Los Angeles, working at a company that did sports production. So that just following that compass kind of put me on the right path to kind of get to where I am now. And yeah, from working at the sports production company where I worked with, several major sports teams across all of the different variety of sports. The company also had a commercial department. So not only was I producing for sports, but I also got an opportunity to work on some more straightforward production sets, which kind of, again, it's just at this point, it's just kind of building the portfolio, building the resume and the experience, which opens up another sets of doors where I can, get into freelance producing at different agencies where I can work with Saatchi & Saatchi, BBDO. These are all great, premier agencies out here in Los Angeles. And so after freelancing for a while, finally brought me over to Fox Sports, where I'm a producer now. And then I created the company out of necessity, right? Out of having the opportunity to become an independent contractor, right? Honestly, that was the catalyst for creating this company, was how do I do my taxes at the end of the year, right? And and so the more research, yeah, they do not play about taxes. Nobody plays about those taxes. And so after doing all of that research on LLCs and how you set one up and what that process actually looks like, it just made more and more sense to actually create a company, to not, just have a way to do my taxes at the end of the year. But now I'm starting to look decades into the future and saying, what can I create? How can I build on, the experience that I've created over the last 2 years?
Gotcha. Good stuff, man. Now, I know that we had talked about COVID a little bit. So filmmaking, COVID, cameras, video, what does that look like with COVID right now? Like, how can you really do video production? What is your world looking like with COVID?
Honestly, it's slow. It is slow. It looks very slow. Yeah, I think I'll break it down into like two parts. So right now I'm a producer over at Fox Sports, and obviously there hasn't been sports in the last few months, right? So in terms of that, there hasn't been too much for us to actually promote or to market until recently. So now it's starting now just to begin to pick up, as we're all trying to figure out how we actually gather or do some sorts of sports or entertainment, right? But then also at an industry as a whole, how we're still trying to figure out how do we have a set, how do we have a crew, how do we actually make a film in a traditional sense, right? And so what that kind of looks like is in the way that the industry is handling it. You have the kind of trailblazers, if you want to call them that, where they make you sign a bunch of waivers, health waivers, and just find a way to make it happen, right? In a traditional sense, we're still trying to be safe, right? You have another good example is Zendaya actually made a movie within this COVID world, right? Where her and John David Washington, they went out on this like 200-acre farm in North California, and they quarantine in pods, right? So actors would all quarantine together so they can still rehearse. Producers and directors would quarantine together all on this farm so that they can still have their meetings. And then when it came time to shoot, everybody was quarantined. So now you can actually have a real production and a real set to actually shoot. So that's another way. And I think the last way, and kind of what we're seeing as a majority, is something that I'm experiencing with Film Independent right now. I'm a producing fellow in their Project Involve program, and hey, shout out to Film Independent. It's a great nonprofit. Definitely look them up if you're interested in this industry. And we were supposed to be shooting in June to shoot our projects, but of course we cannot shoot safely. So they've turned into this virtual sets where you're still having your casting, right? You still get your actors attached to your project, and you send them equipment through the mail. And then when the equipment arrives, you do like a Zoom with the director and the director of photography, and you're like, hey, put that light right there. The director's giving them blocking instructions on how to do the scene. And it's a different world. It really is. We're just trying to, we're still creatives and we're still trying to make it work, but it's very different.
Wow. So no Zoom movies coming anytime soon.
You're going to be surprised. There's going to be a bunch of movies and just projects that are going to be like screen friendly, if you want to call it that. It's going to be insane.
Wow. Well, for anybody that wants to get into the film industry, into production, what advice would you tell them so that they can do what you're doing right now? What advice would you give them?
The biggest advice I would give someone is to be curious. Take every single opportunity, take every experience that you can have to really figure out what it is that you like about the industry. That's the biggest thing. There's so many different components to this thing. from pre-production to physical production to post-production. And there's so many different roles and titles within each of those departments that you could literally spend years just volunteering and figuring out what part of the process actually speaks to you. So that'd be my advice. Take every opportunity. If you heard of a friend who's shooting this thing and may need some help, just ask them what you can do to help out.
Gotcha. Great advice. Now, if people wanted to reach out to you or find out what you're doing, wait a minute, we cannot end this without hearing about the short film that you did. Like, that's not even a good interview without having that happen. So please, everybody, about the amazing short film and the offers and wonderful accolades that you got from the film.
Yeah, I was about to say, Rich, you were out here for the screening of this short. I was sure you were going to bring that up. We shot, myself and the creative talent, writer director Stephen Bennett. We created this short film called Russ and Drew, romantic comedy set here in Los Angeles. It's been accepted into, at this point, 6 film festivals. Just finished screening at the San Francisco Black Film Festival. 6. We got into the Bronze Lens Film Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a big one for us, as well as the Catalina Film Festival here in Los Angeles. All of these are virtual, of course. But yeah, that's great. Excited for that one. But that's actually a sales tool to help us get funding for the original project, which is Icarus and Drusilla, which is the feature project that was adapted for Russ and Drew. So a lot of exciting stuff coming.
I got you. So we got things that are coming up, things that are new to look forward to in the future, and hopefully COVID will dissipate quickly so that we can get back to a new normal and get these new shows and films going, but really appreciate it. Okay, so now how can people get in contact with you if they wanted to reach out to you about your film or about anything in general about your company with Nelson Studios? How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, of course. Instagram, of course. Instagram at Mr. Grigsby, Mister Grigsby, as well as email. You can reach me at brian@thenelsonstudios.com. Feel free to hit me up if you want to check out the trailer. Happy to send that along. And then also have a few other projects in development as well. So yeah, reach out, but be more than happy to talk to anybody who's looking to get into the industry. Any advice I can give, I'm an open book.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll continue to pray not only for you and that doors continue to open in LA, that you do get this feature. And one day we'll see you on the Oscar somewhere getting that Oscar for a featured film. But also, again, that you get the doors open in networks that you need to continue doing what you're doing. So thank you for being a guest here on Real Unstructured, you guys. Thanks to my brother, Brian. And we look forward to all the great things that are to come. Thank you. So thanks to my brother, Brian, for joining us and providing that spotlight for us. Let me tell you, I was extremely excited and I'm so proud of him. And now we're going to get to our Rebel Faith moment. Our Rebel Faith moment, one of the things that he talked about was to be curious. And I really think that also means to be courageous. And so our topic is really talking about when your steps are ordered, Psalm 37 was written by David. And he is really talking about how he is looking back over his life and looking back over his life at the great victories and the great failures that he has had. And it has been said, and rightly so, that no one ever really learns anything about themselves when victorious, but it's in failure that one is forced to look deep in their heart and see who they really are and what they are. This is our promise of the Lord, that our covenant that we have with him, that a relationship is offered and our revelation is given and responsibility is expected, that when we draw into relationship with him, it is to know him and to be known by him. It's in relationship that's initiated by grace, and that revelation that is made powerful and provides clarity for us and gives us direction, which then gives us a responsibility, which enables us to respond. That revelation requires a response. And so this psalm really talks about having order steps. And the word ordered means to have established, which is the Hebrew means to decree, to make good, to ordain, to succeed, to raise up. The Holy Spirit through David is stating that the journey of our lives have been decreed, ordered, and ordained by the creator of the Lord. By the creator of the Lord. That is where our steps have been ordered, because Psalms 37:23 through 25 says, the steps of a good man or a good woman are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not utterly be cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. I have been young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And so the Holy Spirit through David is stating that the journey of our lives has been decreed, it has been ordered, it has been ordained by the creator of the Lord. And that's how much he loves us. He loves us enough to plan out every single step of our lives. That doesn't mean that there will never be trials or tribulations to get us to what we want, to get us to do production, to get us to start our businesses. But he has ordained us to be able to make sure that we know what it is that we want. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And so to have your steps ordered, I think there are key things that the scripture, that Psalm 37:23 through 25 states that we should do. And I think that is resist. We must resist. We must take risk, and we must be relentless. We must resist. We must take risk and be relentless. So to resist, we got to resist the urge to do things our own way and to follow our own plan. A lot of us want a miracle without being obedient. Psalm 119:133 says, to order my steps in the word and let not iniquity have dominion over me. The person in whom God delights is one who follows after him, who trusts in him and tries to do his will. God is not looking for perfection, but persistence and pursuit to seek after and follow his ways. And when we do that, God watches over us and protects us and makes firm every step that we make. And a lot of us take steps and then consult God after the fact. But if you would like to have God direct your way, then you have to seek his advice before you step out. You know, Psalm 37:4 also says that we need to delight yourself in the Lord, and then he will give you the desires of your heart. And the thing with this is, I used to think, well, okay, this is an easy equation, 1+1=2. And so therefore, if I delight myself in God and do what he wants, then he'll give me what I want. I thought it was good, simple. If I do something good and seek after God, then I can expect something good from God in return, and he'll give me what I want. But the idea of delighting ourselves in God means we make him the most important thing in our life. When he is the number one desire, he will give himself to us. When we have God, we will have all that we need. Me plus God is the majority. And I know it's easier said than done, but your job will not give you the sense of purpose. Your identity will not be in how you serve the church or what ministry you're involved in. Your husband will not be able to complete you. Your children will not be able to satisfy you. But our desires must rest in God. That is where we will find it. The thing is that if we delight in God, he becomes our desire. When you become so consumed with God, your desires will become his. But God's desires at the center of your planning, because he will never disappoint you. Put him at the center of your planning. So that's when we have to resist. Now you need to also take risk. We need to take risks to walk in what the Lord is calling us to do. Be curious, seek it out. My brother said it. See, God can't fix what we don't face, and you have to risk your comfort and convenience in order to pursue your passion and destiny that God has for you. We are all individuals that have been conditioned to self-imposed limitations and paradigms of lack and failure and just getting by mentality. We're conditioned to always think and act like followers, when in fact we are leaders. We all have our chains of self-limiting beliefs that hold us back, whether from childhood experiences, past failures, or lies that we were told, and those lies that some we choose to believe. Where God is taking you will require some sacrifices. The journey won't be easy. And too many of us are focused on the process and not on the promise. What are your eyes fixed on? Dr. Cindy Trim says, realize your vision and fulfill your dreams. And when you take calculated risks, you will either achieve your goals or learn something new in the process. But either way, it's beneficial for your life. To simply step out on faith, the risk you got to take is to get moving. In order to get going, you got to first lift up your foot. And so the Lord establishes our steps. He loves his children and delights to be our provider, our protector, and our establisher. But we have to make him the center of our lives. We got to take risk to walk in what the Lord is calling us to do. And then lastly, we need to be relentless. Be relentless. Proverbs 13:3 says, commit yourself to the Lord, whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Now, some of us commit our work superficially. We say what we are doing is being done for the Lord, but in reality, we are really doing it for ourselves. For others, we give God temporary control of our interest only to take control back the moment that things stop going the way that we expect them to. And yet there are others who commit their ways to fully following the Lord. They have fully committed their ways to God, but they put forth no effort themselves, and then they wonder why they don't succeed. We must maintain a delicate balance. We must trust God as if everything depended upon him, while we must also work as if everything depended upon us. We have to be relentless and move forward with what the Lord has said. Be relentless and move forward with the vision that God has specifically given you for your life. So we have to take risk. We have to resist, and we have to be relentless. Seek to resist following your own plan. Take risks to step in what God is calling you to do, and be relentless with your faith and believe in God. So think about it. What is the Lord calling you to do? And are your steps ordered? God bless you.